Good afternoon. It's wonderful to have all of you on campus. It's a beautiful day. Welcome, honor graduates, proud parents, proud grandparents, family, friends, Board of Trustees members, Barton administrators, staff, and faculty. I love this day. I say that about 1,200 times a year, but I love this day. It's a day completely devoted to celebrating success, to thinking about pleasant memories at Barton, what you've learned. My name is Rick Bealer, and I'm a psychology instructor here. I love teaching psychology, but I don't like telling people that I'm a psychology instructor because they start telling me about problem children, dreams that they've had, and they wonder if I'm analyzing them. And it makes me realize that I missed a few days of college because I can't do any of those things. I don't know what my dreams mean, let alone your dreams. Honor students fascinate me because I don't know how people go through 64 hours of credit and earn a 3.5 GPA, 3.75 GPA, or a perfect GPA. But as a psychologist and a teacher with 3 decades behind me, I think I'm qualified to make a few comments about these special people that we're honoring today. Number one, these students are blessed with an above-average intelligence. I'm well aware that that is not politically correct, but I stand by the comment. Number two, they live the wisdom of Woody Allen's quote, 80% of success is just showing up. So on snow days, these are the students who are in class, and they drive from Wilson, they drive from Claflin, but they drive through snow to be here. 80% of success is just showing up. Number three is they exhibit a very strong motivation to succeed. I think you guys play a role in that. I'll mention that in just a moment. Motivation always trumps intelligence. I've taught a number of students who are very, very bright, but they don't always know where they're going, and they're hard to teach. I've taught students who are less in that way, but they got the bit in their mouth and they know exactly where they're going. An old man used to say in my childhood, no wind blows fair for a ship without port. Motivation trumps intelligence. Number four, these are students who can postpone gratification. My colleague is Randy Allen, and I told him we need to get a shirt that says, don't eat the marshmallow. And those of you who've taken my class, I hope remember what that's about. It's a classic study that they did with children who were 4 years old. And they gave them the opportunity to eat 1 marshmallow right now, or 2 marshmallows in a few minutes. And it's interesting, and I won't go into the details, but those who picked 2 marshmallows later were very different 14 years later. Fewer problems with crime, 210 SAT points. When my sons were young, I'd offer them a nickel now or a quarter in 15 minutes. And every time they took the quarter, I'd go, yes, yes. So I sat with the Spit and Whittle Club at the V-Brock Skelly Station when I was a boy, surrounded by wisdom and old men. Didn't think they were that bright back then. And I listened to things they said, and one of the old men used to say this, Rick, you often have to give up something you want for something you want more. I found that to be true. Postpone gratification, these people are very good at that. Number five, somebody has told you at some point that it's possible to manage time. I don't know that that's true. What I do know is true is that we have the ability to manage ourselves within the context of time, and that's what these students do well. They have self-management. They manage to have fun, but they also manage to study. Not everybody's figured that out yet. And the last one I want to share with you is this. It's John Donne's quote, "No man is an island," and it's true. This morning I wrote a note to an old friend who let me live my senior year with her and her husband so I could finish my high school where I started it. And I'd never properly thanked her. And in America, no offense, we go around thinking I did it all myself. We thump our chest and I did it all myself, but the truth is, I haven't done too much myself. I have been blessed with a network of people who help me succeed, and that's the parents and grandparents who are here. You set in motion this honor celebration years ago by supporting them, by helping them, and by being there for them. So they can take some credit. They just can't take all of the credit. Barton County Community College fulfills its mission best when everybody is committed to learning. Everybody on campus is committing to learning. The Barton County administrator who shoulders much of this responsibility of aligning us with our goals is Dr. Penny Quinn, Vice President of Instructional and Support Services. I can assure you that Dr. Quinn brings a multitude of distinct strengths to her position. She has a marrow-deep commitment to doing the right things right. She possesses an exceptionally strong work ethic. She has academic credentials that are impeccable. But I'm going to tell you what impresses me the most, and that is that she's a true servant leader. On Monday night, we were out here, by the way, serving breakfast, late breakfast, and all of a sudden she disappeared. I thought, where did Dr. Quinn go? She's out here wiping tables and cleaning up stuff. I thought, well, I better follow suit. I better get after it too, but she's the one who brought me out here. She doesn't even know that. Himanshu Bhatia, CEO and founder of Rose International, said, as a leader, it is a major responsibility on your shoulders to practice the behavior you want other people to follow. That is what she does. Ladies and gentlemen, the official Barton welcome from Dr. Penny Quinn.
Those of you who know me will know that, or find it strange that I'm kind of at a loss for words now. That never happens. I just want to thank you all for coming. It's a wonderful day. The days that are difficult, today refills us and reminds those of us who work through the troubled days why we're here and why we love doing what we do every day. To see the successes of our students at graduation tonight, honor ceremonies, pinning ceremonies, courting ceremonies, lots of activities that started yesterday evening as far as recognition is concerned, and running through this evening for this location. And then we have 2 additional graduations coming up at 2 of our other locations here in the next few weeks. This time of year is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for us to remind ourselves of why we're here, and that's the success of our students, and feeling that in some way we had some impact on helping them make that next step to move forward towards their goals. It's a wonderful day. I hope you all enjoy yourselves while you're on campus today. We ordered the weather just for you all. So enjoy walking around campus. Students, make sure that you take the opportunity, if not today, in the days that follow, to take a little bit of time and thank those folks who helped you, quizzed you before that test, or helped you when your car didn't start, or whatever the case might be, a few extra dollars that you needed to get something, that you needed for class, whatever the help was. Make sure you take an opportunity to say thanks and give a hug and let folks know that you appreciate that. Give back. And remember to do that throughout your life, and you'll find that there are a lot more opportunities for you to give and to feel as good about yourself as when you get. With that, I'd like to turn over to our next presenter, our guest speaker for today, which is Mr. Joe Harrington. Oh, are you going to introduce Joe? Okay.
It's my pleasure to introduce Joe Harrington. Joe Harrington is a math instructor here at Barton. And my relationship to math is probably like that of many of you in the room. I have no A's showing on my transcript for math. And I remember working on a GRE problem years ago to get into graduate school. And I thought that I'd solved the algebra problem. And I looked at my 4 answers, and mine wasn't close to any one of them. That's not a good sign. I remember an elementary school teacher saying, Bill bought 20 TVs. And I thought, who buys 20 TVs? I mean, that was a psychologist, I think, even then coming out. And then I realized only in math could you buy 20 TVs and it's not weird. My best friend in math class was Bob, back of the book. The problem, however, is that Bob never showed up on test days. I took a couple of statistics classes that changed my life, and I believe math is an elegant language. It's a beautiful language. It's an art form. And that statistics class made me realize that I should never fear getting on a plane, but I should also never spend $1 on a lottery ticket, because I learned a little bit about probability. I now tell students to listen carefully when they decide not to take another math class, because the sound they hear may be doors closing. Joe dreamt about math and math teaching when he was a boy. He fell in love with math when he was in the 2nd grade, and there was a man by the name of Mr. Sharman who was responsible for that in Columbus, Nebraska. That's an amazing thing to know what you're going to do in the 2nd grade. He completed his Bachelor of Science degree in math at Wayne State College, his master's at the University of Nebraska at Lincoln in 2004, came to work here. We lucked out. We got a very fine man and a wonderful math teacher. He is curious about all manner of things. He has an innate desire to help others. I have called him on the spur of the moment to help me with everything from PowerPoint to eCompanion. He has been very helpful. He has won NISOT awards twice, Who's Who in Education, a young recipient of the Distinguished Instructor Award at Barton. And while at Barton, Joe met his future wife, Laura, at a faculty meeting. Everybody, oh. They have a daughter named Madeline, who was born in 2009, and a son, Ethan, born in 2010. I'm not sure who wrote this, but it says, PowerPoint genius, master of wit, cooking wizard, and dancer extraordinaire. All righty. He did dance, by the way. He did dance in the fundraiser and did an excellent job. I'm having fun at his expense. Mr. Joe Harrington.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As I thought about what I could bestow upon you, what helpful advice I can give you as you move on to bigger and better things, I came up with the following. Advice for getting your dream job. Clearly, all of you hope to get a job someday. So I'm not talking about a part-time job. Those come and go. I'm talking about that dream job, that career goal you have in mind that you hope to obtain someday. So I have a job. You want a job. Perhaps I can bestow upon you some advice and some insights and some of the mistakes I made along the road that can help you out as you in your journey towards that end. One of the first things I can advise you on is to get yourself one of the following. A job description. Basically, if you learn nothing from this, go home tonight and Google job description for blank. This will literally tell you what companies and employers are looking for towards that job that you're looking for. Case in point, I wanted nothing less than to be a math instructor. So again, at a very young age, I went and found a job description for a math position. And this literally guided me throughout the rest of my life towards what I needed to do in order to get that dream. The following is the one I found at Central Community College. Being from Columbus, Nebraska, we literally had a community college in my hometown. I wanted nothing less than to work there when I grew up. My entire family's from there, grandparents, brothers, aunts, and uncles. As you can see, it requires a master's degree in mathematics, so I knew exactly what type of degree I needed to get. It required a bachelor's degree in math as well, not a problem. But you can kind of see the issue here is the preferred candidate issue. When I read preferred candidate, I read the person we're going to hire. As you can see, it requires 8 years of teaching experience. 8 years. Okay. 8 years of teaching experience. Let me put this in perspective. I've been here since 2004. I just now have 9 years of teaching experience. So I'm just barely qualified at this point. But this is something you're going to find yourself in. A lot of jobs, I went and Googled a couple job descriptions even for nursing and engineers, and some of them require 5 to 10 years experience. It's just something you're going to run into. How do you get experience in a job that requires experience to get in the first place? So perhaps you can learn from the way I sidestep this issue, and specifically with my resume. There it goes. I was very strategic in my word choice and what I listed here. First off, I was a teaching assistant at UNL. I taught Calc 2 recitations. Pretty obvious transition there between teaching. But next up, I was a cook, so before that. But when you say cook, of course you think teaching experience. But what's important here is the word choice. For instance, I said oversaw personnel training, right? Demonstrating some of that experience there. I was literally in charge of training other cooks how to cook. Before that, I was a tutor, pretty obvious transition there. Before that, again, cook. Once again, they actually brought me in at this restaurant to train their cooks and bring them up to health code. Before that, I was again a tutor, and back in '96, I started as a dishwasher at a country club, and within 6 months, I was one of the head chefs there. Again, I knew the dishwasher wasn't going to be training anybody. Very low-stress job, but not going to be any teaching experience there. So I was motivated to get started on my teaching experience because I knew that was needed. So let's see, I started back in '96, got my master's in 2004. How many years of training, tutoring, teaching experience had I been able to demonstrate? 8 years. Big shocker. Again, this was something I'd planned out a long time ago, but this is something you need to do. When you look at your part-time job, look for ways you can relate to that work experience they're looking for. If they're interested in you demonstrating 3 years of customer service, there are lots of part-time jobs that you can reference customer service in. You just need to connect those dots for them and show them that association. Because believe it or not, this was enough for me to get the interview for this job. I was literally right out of college. They're looking for someone with 8 years of teaching experience, and I got an interview. Now, this would all be a wonderful story if I worked at Central Community College. But I work at Barton, which is wonderful, and so at the end of the day, things turned out. But the thing to note here, I messed up the interview. I completely blew it. Didn't even come close. The problem with that is when you look at my resume, it didn't really give me the complete picture. I had planned 8 years out, but I ended up tripping at that finish line. So some advice I have for you now is to demonstrate some of the issues I had with the interview itself. Specifically, know the answers to the following questions. This is literally the first question you're going to get asked, some of the middle questions, and literally the dead last question you're going to run into at any interview. You need to know these answers. If you can start strong, end strong, and be strong somewhere in the middle, you will come across as a very viable candidate. The first question is tell us a little about yourself. Do not go off on a 30-minute diatribe about yourself. Basically, if they have to interrupt you to get you to stop talking, that is a bad sign. That's what it did for me. Basically, the word little is the hint here. You need to really keep it brief. When I applied at Barton, what I thought of is, why do you want to be a math instructor? This allowed me to answer the question while at the same time got the interview started on the right foot. And at the same time, I was able to give them information that other candidates probably wouldn't have the opportunity to. The second two are, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Strengths sometimes is considered easier than the weakness because we all want to talk about what we're good at and we don't really want to tell them what we're bad at. But here, they're both pretty much equally weighted. When you think of strengths, be sure to come up with something good because you cannot give them something average. If you're just doing this on the fly, odds are you're not going to represent yourself as well as you could. This is your strength. This is your best quality. You need to blow them away so that you leave with a really strong, positive impression. Basically, when I interviewed, I was like, well, I'm good at math. Mad skills. But the problem with that is, so is everyone else. It's a math instructor position. So when you think of this, be sure to be prepared. The second one is weaknesses, much harder. No one really wants to talk about that. But an interview is very stressful. You're going to be, essentially grilled for an hour. You're going to have lots of people in front of you. You're going to be extremely stressed. And if you haven't prepared this, odds are you're going to tell them something catastrophically wrong with you. I can procrastinate like nobody's business. Not a good answer. Not a good answer. Finally, do you have any questions? Many Fortune 500 companies weight this as 20% of your interview. And yet, in my interview, I said, no, I'm good. As a math instructor, I should have known better. Never leave a problem blank. Always go for partial credit. This is your opportunity to show them that you are seriously interested in working there specifically, that you're not just applying to have a job or any job. This is your opportunity to show that you're interested in that company and that community at large. When I applied at Barton, I asked, for instance, about the Crest Theater, which I've gone to many times since. But that had nothing to do with my job that I was applying for, but everything to do with my interest in living in this community. So all this kind of begs the question, how did I end up at Barton? Well, as mentioned, when God closes some doors, He does open others for a reason, fortunately. So I figured, hey, I want to live close to home, as I mentioned earlier. So I got myself a map and figured I can drive 5 hours there and back. And yes, I thought a little mathematically on this. It's who I am. And I said, anywhere within this circle I will apply, because then I can still Head home, my children can still know their grandparents. Out of the people out here, how many of you hope that your children live close to home someday? Much better than last time. There's almost no one last time I asked that question. So if you want to live close to home, pick inside the circle, otherwise outside the circle. But fortunately, Barton is definitely in that circle. If it hadn't been for Barton, I would have met my wife, as mentioned at a faculty meeting. I wouldn't have my 2 beautiful children. Because at the end of the day, I realize a job is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. And yes, my children can dance too. And you need to keep it in perspective. It's just a job. Some things are more important. So I hope that gives you some advice, some tips, some techniques towards the job search and the interview. I hope I kept it short enough. And on behalf of Barton's faculty and staff, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
One little psychology tip after the interview, send a handwritten thank you note back. What's the official job title for a person whose responsibilities include, but are not limited to, supervising the following areas of campus life? Tutoring, counseling, student activities, housing, financial aid, food service, advisement, and the Child Development Center. The title is Dean of Student Services, and our Dean of Student Services is Angie Maddy. I told her before I talked today that I was going to use this anecdote. I met Angie when she was 18 years old, about 6 years ago. She was a starry-eyed high school senior who came out, and I was assigned as her academic advisor. And she had declared psychology as a major. I asked her, "What do you plan to do with your degree in psychology?" And without a blink, she said, "I want to earn a master's in psychology and teach psychology at a community college." She was after my job. When I miss work, she calls to ask me how I'm feeling. After our blood test in the spring, she says, "Just wondering, what's your cholesterol level?" Hasn't gone away. It's still there. She's looking with coveted eyes. Our Dean of Student Services is Angie Maddy. She's going to be assisted by Dr. Quinn in handing out their certificates.
I'm going to take one quick second to congratulate the honor graduates and say that we can't say exactly what all the choices were or the happenstances were that brought us to this place and time, but I know that I speak. I'm sorry, it's already been such an emotional graduation season. I know that I speak for all of the staff and faculty at Barton when I say that we are truly humbled and blessed that your paths crossed ours, and we are just so happy to celebrate your success today. Congratulations. I will be reading names, and we'll wait. I'll take just enough pause in between so that we can see if that particular honor graduate is here. If so, they will come up and get a certificate from Kathy, shake Dr. Quinn's hand, and be congratulated. I'm sorry? Oh, for the photograph. Thank you. Please take time for the photograph. And then line up on the risers here, and then we're going to have everyone stay up here so we can get a photograph at the end and congratulate them properly one more time at the end. And we will begin. Jan Ashford. James Alt. Zachariah Beach. Ashley Boger. Caitlin Brockman. Sabrina Campbell. Heather Castellan. Jacob Christensen. Jamie Christensen. Michelle Clifford. Kelsey Couture. Shelby Covey. Liliana Delgado. Christy DeWorth. Ruth Ann DeWorth. Eleanor Durr. Kimberly Elliott. Chastity Farr. Ryan Friedley. Ryan, is it Friedley? Friedley. Yay. Thanks, crew, who was helping me earlier. Sarah Hales. Rochelle Haas. My advisee, who so far has not told me she's after my job, Talisha Hesher. Darn, no Talisha here. Robin Hickel. Brenda Holden. Maria Huffman. Megan Huffman. Heather Jackson. Michelle Klepper. Shauna Kester. Katie Kreitzer. Kira Kreitzer. Rebecca Krieger. Winter Kewen. Loretta Lauer. Jessica Lopez. Lacey Major. Adriana Martinez. Jessica Martinez. Mark Meinhardt. Michelle Miller. Blanca Montoya. Matthew Moyd. Ashley Munson. Joshua Murphy. Dustin Myers. Shaylee Myers. Catherine Nelson. Carly Newkirk. Benjamin Needhammer. Aaron Noblet. Kelly O'Donnell. Morgan Polensky. Jerica Parker. Taylor Potzner. Jeffrey Pike. Jody Powell. Tiffany Preston. Drew Reisner. Carla Reza Martinez. Jacob Robison. Igor Santos. Kelly Stewart. Yeah. Brent Stoss. Austin Stum. Caitlin Sutherland. April Taylor. Sarah Tyler. Anna Velasco. Angela Ward. Kyle Weber. Andrew Weichman. Kayla Winder. And Brendan Winkler. Ladies and gentlemen, Barton Community College 2013 honor graduates.
Psychology has no laws, but if we were to have one, this would be my vote. Behavior predicts behavior. I have some students this semester who are very apprehensive about going on to Fort Hays and K-State and KU, and I tell them all the time, you'll be fine. You've done well here, you'll be fine. The best single predictor of what a person's going to do in the future is what they've done in the past, and that does not mean that people don't change. So these people are going to be fine at K-State and KU, Washburn, Emporia, Wichita State, out of state, wherever they go. They're going to be fine. I want you to look at the doors over there for just a moment, and as you walk around campus today, I want you to look at our doors. Because as more people pass through the doors of schools, fewer people are going to pass through the doors of prisons. Great futures begin in schools. BCC is one of the best resources in this area. I'm prejudiced, but I think it's one of the best resources in this area. And if I offered any of you in here today an opportunity to buy a Lexus, an Acura, an Infiniti, a Mercedes for $15,000, a brand new car for $15,000 decked out, you'd have the money to me before 6 o'clock. And that's what Barton is doing every day. That's what we're doing every day. Is we're selling a college education, an excellent college education at a cut rate price, and we're making it available for people who might not have been able to afford it. I'm going to ask a favor of all of you who are with these people here. Sometime today, as you're walking around this beautiful weather, looking at our campus, I want you to take them aside, and I want you to say, I'm proud of you. And if you are of the type who can hug or put a butterfly kiss on their cheek, you do that. It's a special day. It's a day for celebration. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Heilman, administration, staff, and faculty, thank you very much for entrusting the education of your students and your family and their safety with us. We don't take that lightly, and we're ever mindful of our responsibilities. I'm going to ask you to put your hands together for two people. One of them is Steven Lueth, who gave us some music at the beginning. Please let him know you appreciate it. And the other is Kathy Boger, who actually did a lot of work in putting this together, and she is an unsung hero. Please give her a round. I hope you join us for fellowship, laughter, the sharing of good memories, and a little bit of punch and cookies. Thank you very much for coming.